Hey guys, it's Dark here. Welcome to another video. In this video I want to discuss the state of dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV, specifically endgame dungeons, and whether they could actually use the concept of Mythic Plus that is incorporated into World of Warcraft, and if that would be beneficial to the player base. Before I start, make sure you subscribe, come join the dark side. Literally. So as you hit level cap in Final Fantasy XIV and you complete the storyline, you do get access to a lot of dungeons. There's no shortage of them. There is actually, I would say, 8 endgame dungeons, which are, they require level 80. And each of them drop different item level gear. I think only the last two drop the highest item level. So if you queue for a random expert dungeon, I believe you can only get one of those 2 dungeons that I showed before. And while they're all really fun, and especially the first few times, they're fun and they're challenging, I would say. But that's really all you get. There's no higher difficulty for the dungeons. You can just queue up for them and do them. And they do, other than the gear, I'm not too worried about the gearing aspect of it, because I did talk about this in another video. I'm more talking about the challenging aspect of it and the fun aspect of, challenging yourself with harder and harder content. That's not a possibility with regards to dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV. It's definitely possible with raids and trials, but it looks like with dungeons that's not the case. And I am curious to know what the Final Fantasy XIV community thinks about this. I know obviously there are people who that's not their main focus. Maybe they try to play on alts, or their focus is on other aspects of the game. But those people who are, especially the people who came over from WoW or were exposed to Mythic Plus, isn't that something that is of interest to the community, to be able to play these dungeons at a harder and harder level and to push the limits of your job that you're playing? And that's certainly one aspect of WoW which is, I think, quite fun. A lot of people enjoy it, and I can show you guys what I mean by that. In World of Warcraft, you also get access to 8 dungeons. Once you hit cap, you don't actually have to complete the storyline. But the point is, after you get access to dungeons, you have access to multiple levels of difficulty. So other than, the normal heroic mythic, you can keep going higher and higher with what they call keys. And basically you can do +2 difficulty, +3 difficulty, and it goes up and up, and you can go as high as you want to go. And they award you better and better gear the more difficult content that you do. But I don't think that's the critical aspect of it. It's more the fact that you can challenge yourself and push the limits of your group and the class that you're playing with the higher keys that you do. And the cool thing I think that WoW does is they introduce new mechanics the higher that you go, and they change it on a weekly basis, so each week it feels a little bit different. And mechanics such as more adds, or adds have more HP and do more damage, which is some of the more boring affixes, but there are cooler ones like Sanguine, where once you kill an ad, they drop a pool, and the pool would damage the people standing in it and would heal the ads. So for example, tanks need to kite the ads and the DPS need to kill them all at the same time to avoid mobs getting healed to full HP. And all these runs are also timed as well, and the quicker you can complete them, the more rewards that you get, and the more that you can do higher and higher keys. And I think this is a really cool feature that WoW added in. It makes it so you can keep playing the dungeons but not be bored with the difficulty. For me personally, I enjoyed playing all the dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV, but after running them 2 or 3 times, I just didn't find it fun anymore to run them again. I didn't have any motivation to do it, but I know that people play the game differently, so I'm very curious what you guys think about adding, levels of difficulty to the dungeons in Final Fantasy as well. It doesn't have to be exactly the same way that WoW has implemented, but I thought it would be cool to add it in to break the game from the pattern. And I think a lot of you also mentioned it in the comments in the previous video that, for example, with tanks you kind of pull everything until you get to a barrier in the dungeon, and then you pop one or two cooldowns and you DPS the ads down, and then you go to the boss. The boss has some sort of tank buster which you use your cooldowns on, but for the rest of it you're pretty much good to go. So it would be good if they introduce higher difficulties and change this stuff up, add a few mechanics here and there, so it would be a bit more interesting, at least for the tanks and also for the DPS and healers as well, so it's not like the same pattern over and over again. But at the same time, I can also understand if maybe the community doesn't want something like that in the game, and perhaps the target audience is not the Mythic Plus players or people who like to push dungeons further and further. So yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys' thoughts are on this. And with that, I want to end the video. And the lights out because I'm dark. Sorry if I made you cringe. Peace.